प्रज्ञापारमिता हृदयसूत्रम्। नमः सर्वज्ञाय आर्यावलोकितेश्वर बोधिसत्वो गम्भीरायां प्रज्ञापारमितायां चर्यां चर्माणो व्यवलोकयति स्म। पञ्चस्कन्धः दाशस्वभावशून्यान् पश्यति स्म। इहि शारिपुत्र रूपं शून्यता शून्यतेव रूपं रूपान् पृथक् शून्यता शून्यताया न पृथक् रूपम्। यद्रूपं सा शून्यताया शून्यता तद्रूपम्। एवमेव वेदना संज्ञा संस्कार विज्ञानानि च शून्यता। इहं शारिपुत्र सर्वधर्मः शून्यता लक्षणा अनुत्पन्ना अनिरुद्धा अमलान विमला अनुनान परिपूर्णः। तस्मात् शारिपुत्र शून्यतायां न रूपं न वेदना न संज्ञा न संस्कारः न विज्ञानानि। न चक्षुश्रोत्रघ्राणजिह्वा कायमनांसि न रूप शब्दगन्ध रसस्पृष्टव्यधर्मः। न चक्षुर्धातुर्यावन्न मनोधातुः न विद्या न अविद्या न विद्याक्षयो न अविद्याक्षयो यावञ्जरामरणं न जरामरणक्षयो। न दुःखसमुदय निरोधमार्गा न ज्ञानं न प्राप्ति न अप्राप्तिः। तस्मात् शारिपुत्र अत्रातित्वात् बोधिसत्त्वस्य प्रज्ञापारमिताम् आश्रित्य विहरति चित्तावरणः। चित्तावरणनास्तित्वाद् अत्रस्तो विपर्यासातिक्रान्तो निष्ठनिर्वाणः प्राप्तः। त्रयत्वव्यवस्थितः सर्वबुद्धः प्रज्ञापारमिताम् आश्रित्य अनुत्तरां सम्यक् सम्बोधिमभिसम्बुद्धः। तस्मात् ज्ञातव्यं प्रज्ञापारमिता महामन्त्रो महाविद्यामन्त्रो अनुत्तरमन्त्रो असंसममन्त्रः सर्वदुःखप्रशमनः सत्यं मिथ्यत्वात् प्रज्ञापारमिताया मुक्तो मन्त्रः। तद्यथा ॐ गते गते पारगते पारसंगते बोधि स्वाहा। 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 तद्यथा ॐ गते गते पारगते पारसंगते बोधि स्वाहा।
So, we insist that this is a place for retreat. It's not a spa. I share the sentiment because I'm sure many of you know the word mindfulness. Nowadays, when people mention the word mindfulness, I cringe a little bit. It has become like a spa, the word mindfulness. So I think we insisting that this is a retreat. This is actually, I really have that, I have a big empathy. Retreat is a very, very important tradition in Buddhadharma, even during the Buddha's time. For instance, there was a tradition of rainy season retreat, very important. But the essence of the retreat, when we talk about a retreat, we always talk about boundary. I think the English word retreat maybe is not doing the justice. In Tibetan we call it tsam. Tsam means boundary. Actually it means boundary. So you create the boundary. You know, Buddhism is so many paradoxes in Buddhism. Just like many of the Indian thoughts and Indian wisdom, you know, you can never really sort of have a fixed idea. You cannot really sort of be sure that this is it. This is the beauty of Indian thinking too. You know, because ideally, anyway, in Buddhadharma, we have to go beyond boundaryless. In fact, I believe in Vana there's Amitabha. Right? Amitabha in a cave.
Still getting fame in Buddhism.
Yeah. Amitabha, the word Amitabha also is translated as a sort of boundless light, but it actually refers to boundaryless, no boundary. But in order to reach that beyond boundary, kids like us, we have to somehow go to that beyond boundary with some sort of a boundary. You know, we need toys, we need some sort of references, we need guidance, we need means. So, when we talk about a boundary, in Buddhism, the word tsam, retreat, actually the highest boundary, if I may tell you, and this is very important. And actually this time, because this is such a beautiful setting, and it's very intimate, not too many people. I'm always so afraid of hundreds and hundreds of people. I listen to teachings I've given to hundreds of people. Somebody was listening it in their car while they were driving me. And I couldn't understand what I was saying. No, sort of not cohesive. But I like this small group. And I want to take this opportunity to experiment also, because I have done this once in Hong Kong. That was quite a big group, so it wasn't that successful, but I want to present this again. Anyway, what I'm going to share is really rooted to classic Buddhist texts. Although some of the means and some of the example or the metaphor that I use will maybe sort of more modern and more easy to understand, simplified. But I will make sure that I don't go astray from the Buddhist sutras and shastras. Because if I do that, then I'd fall into the department of mindfulness, department of spa. So, when we talk about retreat, as I said, we are talking about boundary. In Buddhism, when we talk about boundary, boundary is like, okay, you have heard, I'm sure some of you have heard, there are Tibetan Lamas do 3 years retreat, or I'm doing a month retreat, or 2 months retreat, or 6 months, or lifelong retreats. There are people, we call it which means there are people who will stay inside the room, and then once they go inside the room, then they will actually build, they will put the bricks and everything on the door, basically wall it up, so it never go out. There are actually a few people, I have probably more than 500 still doing this kind. Very admirable, I have to say. But anyway, say when we do retreat, let's say a month retreat, usually what we do is we have a boundary, such as I am not going to go out of my fence. I will not speak to more than this and that amount of people, like maybe closest friends or family members or a doctor or a plumber or whatever. I will not read magazines or newspapers. I will not read emails. You can basically create your own discipline. This is something quite important in Buddhism. The teachers usually don't create the discipline. You create the discipline, and then on the first day you sort of take pledge, or you take a vow that this is going to be your discipline. And depending on what kind of, how much time you have, how much experience you have. I mean, there are few people who would not meet anyone, who would not go out of maybe their room. I even know one person in New York City who has done 3 years retreat, in her flat, something like 25th floor. It must be very tough, but you can do that. So we usually create boundaries. We even have markings, and some of them are very elaborated, and usually it's not a good sign, because people who put so much emphasis on these, okay, I'm doing a retreat, boundary, no admission, they end up doing less of a practice because they put so much emphasis on this outer ritual. But anyway, what I'm trying to get to the point that I'm trying to make is, in Buddhism, the real boundary is between the past thought and the future thought. That is your boundary. Now, if you can do that, you could be in a nightclub, you could be, dancing, crazy. You could be doing all sorts of wheeling, dealing with business or whatever. But there are yogis and yoginis who may not go beyond the boundary of past mind, past thought, and the future thought. Meaning always in the present. Always in the present. Like whatever you are thinking right now, being in this present. For instance, now. You are hearing rustling. Air conditioning. Maybe you are thinking of something of yesterday, tomorrow, whatever it is. Simply knowing that, simply being aware of that, but not really thinking about the past and not really thinking about the future, not judging also. Never judging. You could be thinking something so hideous, or you could be thinking something so wholesome, but just simply aware. That is actually the king of the retreat. Okay, now you might ask, what's the point of doing this? Is the point to become like a vegetable? It feels like that, you have to plan, you have to think, you have to be creative. How can you just watch whatever is happening right now, this thought? Just being aware of whatever is happening now. What's the point? Now I'm doing a big definition of your place here. What's the point of doing this? Why we do that? Then comes the wellness part. Wellness is so important. Outer wellness, inner wellness, secret wellness and the most secret, inner, most secret wellness. It's so important. And how do you become not well? How do you get sick? How do you get insane? How do you get unhealthy, basically? The moment you go beyond, outside of the boundary of first thought and the future thought, past mind and the future mind. And so, whatever. Because the moment you judge, moment you think about things, and I'm sure we do this all the time, very sure. Many times, we have expressions like this, isn't it? Drifting, getting worked up, getting entangled, lost in thoughts, daydreaming, all that. Well, they all have a little different meaning, but basically similar. Getting worked up is kind of more wrathful. Daydreaming, kind of like, I guess, more sentimental, more romantic. But nevertheless, it is actually sort of not healthy. It's not, maybe I shouldn't say not healthy, not being well. Wellness, real wellness is just being in the present. Whatever it is. So I'm hoping that these few days I can manage to convince you that how important being in the present is. And this I know since many of the teachings such as being in the present are now coming from spas. They also said this thing. They have written books, so you may end up thinking that this is, one of those, new age technique, but no, this technique came from Shakyamuni Buddha 2,500 years ago, from India, from places like Sarana, Rajgir, Vaishali. And this not only was taught, but was practiced, analyzed, discussed. And not only that, this being in the present is taught in many forms, such as ritual, prayers, like what we did. For instance, in Japan, you must know the Japanese tea ceremony. The first time was very good because it was new and all that. But second one was it's very hard to sit like this. Japanese, not trained us. Lack of mindfulness myself. But anyway, you can see the Japanese tea ceremony is all about grabbing hold of present moment, appreciating the present moment, and really it's an exercise to join on this. So, because the tea itself is, I would say sometimes it's disgusting. It's really nice. It's not everybody's sort of, after all the ritual, it even tastes good. Because by then you have already, you're already kind of tired, so you really want to drink something. But anyway, you must know, have you been to the Japanese tea ceremony? It's so, like very, 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 you have to do lots of things, and then the mixing of the tea, the color, and then the way you hold it. But all this is a technique designed to keep you in the present. Similarly, Japanese Ikebana, the flower arrangement, balancing the flower by the heaven, earth, and whatever it is, man, heaven, earth, I don't know. They have these Ikebana. Again, I would say this is a technique to put you in the present. But you know, in Japan, they are losing this. Not the technique. Most of the youngsters, they don't even know this is to do with Buddhism. This is a Buddhist technique. They don't know. They think it is some sort of a art. In fact, many Japanese even don't know Zen Buddhism. Zen is a Buddhist practice. Zen is, I believe, is a derived word, Chinese word charm, and the Chinese word charm is actually coming from the Sanskrit word dhyan. And this, so it's really, technique is this. Now, and then they have judo, archery. The whole procedure, the whole, like practice of archery. That technique. I want to tell you this because the moment I tell you the word meditation, I know what you are thinking. You are thinking about a meditation cushion. You are thinking about sitting straight, isn't it? You can never imagine, oh, I could actually do a chapati meditation, like chapati making. You could do this from the time of, the mixing of the flour, I don't know, kneading the, creating all the dough. Wow, just like the Japanese tea ceremony. You can make it into something very, probably in India you should make it chaotic. But chaotic is not necessarily a bad thing. This is something you need to know. Not everything about Buddhism has to be so silent, so serious, so meticulous, so like this, like that, Japanese way. The Indian way is fantastic. Flowers everywhere, symbols everywhere, music. That in itself has its beauty. The point is, you try to grab and maintain the present moment. You could do that. So this is something that I also want to share, that we should really go beyond thinking the meditation. Meditation, the moment we talk about meditation, most of the time people think in terms of sitting straight, isn't it? Well, I have to say, sitting straight does have some benefit, I should say, because chances of you being in the present, in the hammock with a margarita, a little difficult. But chances of, hard cushion, sitting straight, all that. Because these techniques, anyway, after all, these techniques have passed down from the, great yogis and the practitioners of the past. These are tested. And there are so many of this. You are supposed to do meditation under the tree. We actually do have some kind of tree here. You are supposed to do practice in the forest. We have metaphorically Vana. You are supposed to do meditation you can meditate in front of a river. All has its own effect. Like a river, I think, brings sadness. And in Buddhism, we say the genuine heart of the sadness is priceless. It makes you fuller human. As a human, you should always have a little bit of sadness. Then you become more complete human. There are also traditions like going to cemeteries and meditating in the cemeteries. But one thing I want you to know is that you can, as long as you are in the present, you can you can practice the meditation anywhere, in the kitchen, in the shower, while driving. And this is important, otherwise spiritual path and your day-to-day life will never mingle. Okay, maybe half an hour in the morning you meditate, and then the rest of the 23 hours and a half with all this chaos, not going to do much. So being able to relate, how should I say, relate to moment by moment life. And really, this is a big thing in Buddhism. I mean, so much so that if I just spill this out a little bit, no technique is ever rejected. If you go into the deeper, more profound, more really serious business of Tantra, all emotions are also used as all emotions are used as a tool, as a attitude. Nothing is rejected. Oh yes. Did you prepare some basho? We can make it tomorrow. We were discussing about this. I want to tell you this because, poetry, for instance, you need to think, right? One thing, you need to sort of think, you need to sort of be creative. But, for instance, the practice of haiku in the Zen tradition, the Japanese Buddhism. And by the way, also in Tibetan there is so much practice of that, but it's sort of dwindling now, it's fading. But the haiku is an incredible method. Haiku, I mean, I'm not a haiku master, but I love people like Basho. It's basically noticing. You could be noticing, for instance, you can notice 3 things what you see, 3 things what you hear, 3 things what you taste, 3 things what you feel, now, this very moment. And jot it down. And you can actually create a beautiful, short, precise, to the point haiku of this moment. Because haiku really expresses this moment. So I think I've said enough for the benefit of being in the present. Now, okay. The benefit of being in the present. I was talking about wellness, complete wellness. So, complete wellness, if I put it from another angle, is when you actually realize the truth. And by the way, today is for Buddhists, it's a very special day. There are 4 special days in 1 year. And the first of the 4 special days happened to be today. It's called Miracle Day. And if you read the sutras or the shastras, you will not find too many mentioning of Buddha's miracle power. I mean, miracles power such as, like flying, manifesting, food, drinks, curing people. You don't actually hear a lot. In fact, you hear the opposite. For instance, a very famous story about a mother whose child died, going to the Buddha, asking for help to, make the dead child to live again. And Buddha asking her to look for, I think it's sesame seed or mustard seed from 7 family who never had an experience of death. And of course, she couldn't even find 1, let alone 7. So this is one classic example. Always about the truth. So when the Buddhists talk about the miracle of the Buddha, it is always attributed to the miracle, the most miraculous, most powerful thing that Buddha did or Buddha realized is the realization of the truth, such as the Four Noble Truths. That is the power. In fact, Buddha, and I have to say, even during my childhood, I remember very clearly. My grandfather used to have this very mischievous attendant who somehow had this strange sort of, I don't know, power maybe is not the right word. He has a sort of technique, I don't know where he learned or where he got it from, and this I have seen with my own eyes. We eat rice in the morning, and sometimes he would make the rice, flatten the rice, like the cooked rice, like a chapati, and put it on the fire to sort of roast. And when one side is roasted, he's practicing. And then, he's always busy and practicing a little bit. And then he will, when one side is finished, he will go like this. And then actually the rice will flip. I've seen this. Probably I'm a child, so he tricked me. I don't know. But I've seen this several times because I always ask him to do it. And so many things he does. For instance, the monks, this is the funny one. You should hear this one. Monks, the ordained monks, their robe is not like this. Their robe is like a hollow, how should I do it, like this? It's round, it's stitched around. Also they wear it like that, so it's stitched around like that. Right? And my grandfather is very strict. He will, when he wants his attendants to come, there will be noise like that, and they have to, just quickly go in. This is so funny. And this man, this mischievous man, the 2 attendants. The other, this mischievous man is not a monk. The monk is the main attendant. And there's a small room where they sleep, and in the middle is a pillar. It's a very, very funky room, isn't it? In the middle, just to hold the roof, I guess. A pillar, very bad pillar. And while the monk is sleeping, somehow this mischievous monk put the rope outside the pillar, not taking out the roof, of course not. So that the pillar is inside, and the rope is like that. And then my grandfather, and the monk got up, and his rope, he couldn't take it out from the pillar, and he was so angry. And of course, he got a lot of scoldings for being late, because he was wearing only a short or something like that. But anyway, what I wanted to tell you is, my grandfather used to scold this man a lot. He is never supposed to do this. I mean, when I beg him to flip the, then he does. One time, he actually caught a snake. He pretends to chant the mantra. I don't know whether even he chants. And he will blow it on his hand, and then he held a snake. That was really scary. Only when I asked, sometimes behind without my grandfather knowing he does this, but he gets so much scoldings. And I also heard many of the scoldings from my grandfather saying that you're never supposed to do this. This is nothing special. Who do you think you are? You are supposed to, learn the Four Noble Truths. This is the real power. This kind of shamanistic power, you will only ruin other people, and you will ruin yourself, etc., etc. So till, my lifetime, the Buddhists never really cherished this kind of power, actually. The truth is the most important. And when we talk about the truth, actually we are not talking about any exotic truth, which we have talked this in Delhi. We are not talking about anything that is exotic, divine, supernatural. We are talking about very simple truth, such as all compounded things are impermanent, such as all thoughts, whatever thoughts, defilements, whatever discursive thoughts we have, because of its uncertainty, it takes you to anxiety, suffering, pain. I don't need to give you logic to prove that. All compounded things are impermanent. You know that. Nothing is permanent. You know that. And all your thoughts, whatever you are having, are thought. Whatever your ideas, whatever principles you have, it's never ever certain. It's going to change. We don't know what's next. We can assume. We can assume that tonight maybe tomorrow we will have a Holi. We can assume that we will have a very swell, holy celebration. Only assumption. We can never be certain. So there's always an anxiety. That's the second truth. Very simple, isn't it? But maybe the third one, or even the third one actually is very, very simple. To put it in a very simple language, the third truth is, what you project is only your projection. It's not the real thing. And there's nothing other than what you project. Emptiness, shunyata. See, it's very, very, very simple. And I need to tell you this because this makes what we are going to discuss not a spa mindfulness. So if you ask me, how come if this is so simple, why are we not understanding? Why are we not understanding? Because of habit. Habitual patterns are what stops facing the truth. It's all the habitual patterns we have, coming all the way from the ancestors, nations, culture, books, teachers, opinions, and democratic opinions, individual opinions, all these opinions, they make your habit so strong. So now you know why. So okay, what you want to know? What do you need? You need to know the truth. Very simple. Huh? Now what is stopping you? Habit. Okay, who is feeding this habit? So we need to know this is a strategy. This is almost like a war. We know the culprit is the habit. So now we need to do something about this habit. So who is feeding this habit? We need to sort of plan economic embargo, you understand, to starve this habit, to uproot this habit, to weaken this habit, to derail this habit, to discontinue, I don't know, to disorganize this organized habitual patterns. This is what you need to do. So who is feeding this habit? And I don't need to use logic, you can experience this. Never being able to be in the present. Try now. Always thinking about something. Never being able to know what you are thinking or what you are doing. Judgment. Basically, drifting, getting worked up. This is the food for habit. Whatever you are thinking right now, not knowing that. And really, you have to come to this. Whatever you are, I'm not telling you have to think something wholesome, have I? I haven't told you this. I haven't told, you should really think about something really good, you should not think about bad things. I am not telling you this. What am I saying is, whatever you are thinking, just so you know, that's it. As simple as that. What's the benefit of this? Benefit of just knowing whatever is happening will not feed the habitual pattern. It will not drive, it will not lead to other thoughts. Because more thoughts means more actions. More actions means you are planting the seed really well, with the fertilizers, plowings, the fencing and everything. And then the result, the anxiety, of course, guaranteed to grow, harvest. That's called karma. So do you really want to work with the karma? Do you really want to, probably this is one difference between so-called Hinduism and Buddhism. Because in Buddhism, karma is manipulatable. Now, this very moment, how? Be in the present. Because the moment you are in the present and not judging, not drifting, you are burning the seed of the karma. Of course, At the moment, you are not being able to, okay, you may be able to be in the present for a moment, but next moment, because of your strong habit of drifting, you will go off course. But that's why you need to practice. And practice, I told you this morning, you should not limit your practice into doing it on meditation cushion. Everything. A long time ago, there was this French movie called Viva. I don't know whether any of you have seen. It's just such a beautiful film. And there's one really nice scene which I cannot forget. This guy is chopping onion, and he has designed a big goggle he wears. And he wears this goggle while he's chopping the onion, because he said he's practicing Zen. But the onion has some sort of, what do you call it? It makes you, have tears. So he said it sort of bothers him, so he wears this big goggle while he's chopping the onion. Cooking, talking, argument, heated argument with somebody. In the middle of the heated argument with somebody, throw in being in the present, just for once or twice. It will do amazing job. Because it's like a train is coming, and then you, sort of unhook one hook, and then it will become wobbly. What do you want? We want our habit, the chain of thoughts, to become wobbly. That's what the Buddhists want. The ordinary samsaric beings want the chain of the thoughts organized and speedy and organized. They're very difficult. But anyway, I talk too much. I want you to experiment this a little bit. Okay. Don't sit. Just however you are sitting right now, scratching, yawning, whatever. But be in the present. Have you done it? It takes just like what? Quarter of a second. You know what I mean? No need to do. Okay, I'm going to do. No need to do that. That's already, you wasted 3 seconds. just do whatever you're doing or thinking. Like for instance, I was just thinking to ask Veer, tell me the timetable, and I was kind of happy. Towards the end, I knew that's what I was thinking. You got it? That was my example. And I noticed that my finger was like this. And I was happy with that. And you should be happy also. Whatever you are thinking, just knowing that, believe me, this is the mother of the wisdom. Why? You can see yourself. Moment you are judging, you have become numb. When you are daydreaming, when you are totally worked up, your mouth open, saliva drooling, Probably one fly even has a time to go in and come out. You get so stuck, fixated. That very small, short moment, you are sober. You are completely aware. And in the process of doing this, if you think, am I doing this? Am I doing this? Is that right? Have I done it? Then just know that that's what you are doing. Just know that I'm now asking, am I doing it? Have I done it? This simple. Simplicity is the only challenge of Buddhism. It's the biggest challenge of Buddhadharma. It's too simple. People don't like it. People say they want something simple, but it's a lie. I've come to a conclusion that they don't mean it. They actually want totalitarian, dictatorial shit. They want things like don't eat chicken, don't do this, wear this, don't wear this. They love it. They call it direction. You need, isn't it? And me too. I like this also. This thing is so difficult. You understand? So difficult to trust. Am I doing it? Am I doing it? Am I doing it? Now, if you come to a meditation master, and if the meditation master is good, and if you say, I've been doing this for a year or 2 years, and all I managed to do is ask myself, am I doing this? All I managed to do is feeling guilty for not doing it. A good Buddhist master would say, fantastic. You are practicing. At last you have become a spiritual person. In fact, like my teachers, they are more happy that I worry and I feel guilty that I'm not practicing Dharma. Then I say, I've done this and this much of Dharma. Not so happy. And it makes sense because when you worry, when you feel guilty that you are not in the present, it's the most beautiful guilt. It's the best guilt. You should have this guilt. You should feel bad for not being in the present. Because the more you feel bad, the more you feel frustrated, means that you are going to do it, or you have already done it actually. Because actually it means you know you are distracted. Actually, I'm now going to ask you, how is the time? I'm okay? Really? Okay, let's take a break. I think break is important. Means are very tricky. Means, technique, how is so tricky. Risky also. But no choice. You have to have. Every time you take a path, you are taking a risk. Especially if the means or the technique is beautiful, wow, so dangerous. Also, if the means and the technique make sense, even more dangerous, because they make sense. Because making sense is so dangerous. They can hook you, they can bind you, they can imprison you for generations. Maybe you should bring a Taoist master in the future. But Tao, I think Chinese, like Taoism is quite good, I don't know much, but I read it. It's so good. Really, yes, means so difficult. For instance, like the word nirvana. We have to use this word nirvana. And we do this consciously sometimes. And we make it into something so, colorful. Colorful in different regions, In China, nirvana is very lofty, swimming pools, swans, water buffalo, stuff like that. It's really different. Like Tibetans, they've never seen lotus, so they love the ideas of lotus. They have things like lotuses, nirvana. Concepts, words, not only concepts, but the words, especially the words nirvana, samsara, they are means, right? They are language. They're so risky to use, but we have no choice. The nirvana, the real nirvana, is when you can be in the present all the time. And I'm sure many of you think, how can we do this? How can we ever cook an omelette being in the present? It's almost unfathomable, isn't it, for you? How can I write a story? In order to write a story, I basically have to get here, there, get engaged, get lost into the world of story, and then sort of write it down. It's not, you just cannot fathom that you can do it. Why? Because you just never, you don't have the habit of being in the present. You have the habit of not being in the present. So that's why. Simple, very simple. This is the present state. This is the past or the future. You always go here or there. That's why you just cannot fathom to be here all the time. You almost think that's like a state of being vegetable or a coma or a completely, what do you call it? Comatose. But completely like frozen. No, not at all. Being in the present makes you the most generous. Why? What is generosity? Generosity is when you don't have a clinging. Clinging, stingy, clinging. When you are in the present, how can you be clinging or, therefore how can you have the stinginess? The more you invest on the being present, you may not necessarily open your, treasure box and invest because that's not the real generosity. Real generosity is when you have no clinging, when you have no fixation, when you don't have that kind of stinginess. That's the real generosity, and that achieves through being in the present. What's the next one? Discipline. What is a discipline? Usually the word discipline is almost torturous. It's word, just the moment you hear the word discipline, it's like anything to do with the routine. We don't like this. So very interesting definition of discipline. Actually, it's the Sanskrit word shila. Shil, right? What's the meaning of shila? Shila. Shil. You know any Sanskrit expert here? Okay, I'll just pretend I am. Shila has the connotation of simba, cooling and not, not stressed. Not stressed. Our discipline, so-called the discipline that we usually think, the discipline like, I need you to go to the gym, need you to do mindfulness. Most of this mindfulness, they cause constipation because they're always worried about, getting distracted. The essence of discipline is, no stress. That's what it should be. So how do we achieve no stress? Being in the present. How else? When you are in the present, you are like that baby, like this child, totally stress-free. I'm just running through all the classic Buddhist virtues. Generosity, discipline. What's the next? Patience, tolerance. What is tolerance? Mito, non-aggression. When you have non-aggression, that is tolerance. That you should write this down because that's a really that's what it means by Buddhist when the Buddhists talk about non-violence. And that really covers a lot, by the way. Because if you are, let's say, if you are very, very non-violent, I think, not understanding this word, patience, is one of the main reasons why there is things like political correctness. And when there's a lot of this political correctness, there's a lot of liberals, and liberals ends up producing people like Trump. I'm trying to provoke here. It's, it's non-aggression. Even if some of us, Buddhists and Jain, whoever, we are, our so-called non-violence can be quite violent because there's some sort of aggression, non-violence, and looking down at the violent people. There's any kind of idea is actually a violence, kind of. I don't know, gender rights. All those, good sounding values, animal rights, dog rights, cat rights. How come there's not so much movement on cats? They don't treat badly, they don't treat cats badly. I saw some cats really badly treated. Anyway, there's some sort of violence, so tolerance to everything is the patience. How do you achieve that? Not going to the past, not going to the future, but being in the present is the tolerance. So on and so forth. What is compassion? Okay. Compassion is a very big, hashtag selling point of Buddhism. But what is the quintessence of compassion? Compassion is not as, that poor guy, sympathy, like teary, weary, touchy feeling. No. I mean, that you can call it compassion. But not the real compassion is when you are in the present. what is happening when you are in the present, because you are not judging. When you are not judging, to put your feet in someone else's shoes is so easy. So easy. Being in the present is the core essence of compassion. It's love, it's joy. Basically, there is not a single reason why you should not do this practice of not being, this practice of being in the present. It's a tragic if you don't do it. You don't have to buy it, you don't have to download it. You have it. All you need, you don't need to be qualified, you don't need to be a special person, you don't need to, all you need is mind, and I believe you have it. Because you are not a pebble, you are not a stone, you are not a piece of wood, you have mind. If you have mind, you must be distracted. You must go to the past and you must go to the future if you have mind. And if your mind is not tamed, of course. If that's the case, then, yes, being in the present. Again, let's go back. What is being in the present? Just do it now. Without sitting properly, whatever. Okay, we will do it in 2 days. Okay? And several days actually. Let's first do very, casual one, spontaneous one. Whatever you are doing, such as reading a book. Yes, that's it. Be happy with this. I'm not saying that you should do only once. You should, of course, continue. But what you did, please, this is samadhi. See the word samadhi sounds so exotic and so profound and so long-winded and so, like foreign. But samadhi is this, what you just did. Because you're not thinking of the past, you're not thinking. That's it. Let's do this time. Can you play something? Music? Let's just listen to that. And just be in that present. You don't have to have any kind of sensation or feeling. Just hear. We were talking about wellness. How do you become well? When you let your senses do its job in complete form. We are not letting our sense do its job completely. I think, I'm sure some of you didn't even know what you were drinking, coffee or tea. Because you are thinking of something, or you are talking about something, or you are thinking of that biscuit you are eating, or I don't know, something else, I don't know. Just so busy, the busyness, getting worked up. I mean, I can understand these spa people talking about, what do you call it, the stress-free kind of thing. That is the bonus, actually, of this. You can be, by the way, free from the, outer stress. Don't get excited, but that's, because that's not what if you are learning Buddhist meditation or practice or path, that's not the aim. Who cares whether you are stressed or not? Whether you are happy or not? Whether you are relaxing or not? Whether you are having a good sleep or not? We don't care. What do we care? Seeing the truth. Because that's the only miracle we want. And the truth, nothing exotic, huh? Everything is impermanent. All our thoughts are uncertain. And whatever we are projecting is just a projection. It's not real. It's not there. What's the benefit of that? Knowing that because all kinds of unnecessary and completely unfair expectations and assumptions will go. If you see an oasis in the desert, and if you know it's an oasis, you will not even go near, but you might enjoy it because it's a beautiful mirage. You can even take a photo if you want. That's it. Just enjoy. I would like to ask some questions. Oh, actually, wait. Let us do a traditionally serious one. Which is also important, Either you sit like this or this. Let's start. And I'll just, let's start. Just know whatever is happening in your mind. No need to visualize anything. No need to think about lights, sensations. Okay. That's good. I'll tell you just to illustrate. I heard crow. Crow? Is there crow? So when I was sitting, I heard crow. And this is how it works. This morning we were talking about basho, haiku, Ikebana, Japanese and Japanese tea ceremony, and we also brought all these Japanese basho haiku books. So I heard crow. In Japan there's so many crows, especially in the Zen monasteries. Very nice actually. If you have seen Japanese old movies like Ozu, or especially Ozu, there's so many crows, sound of crows. It always gives you this haunting, very sad, sort of the distant crow. And because of that crow, my mind went to Japan. My mind went to Ozu, Vanavas city. I'm just exposing how I was distracted, and that led me thinking of my film, which was just shown in Osaka. And that led me to think, oh, the producer is arriving today in Delhi. Is somebody picking him up from the airport? So, entanglement, getting worked up, getting distracted, but somebody, when my mind was somewhere in Indira Gandhi International Airport, my mind quickly come back, okay, that's what I'm thinking. So, nothing to regret. I don't have to sort of self-flagellate myself thinking, oh, my mind was so distracted. It's okay. That's what I did. That's what I'm doing. All coming back, all this. Do you want to ask some questions? We have like 10 minutes. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm asking the first question, but on this point of how you got from crow to the arrival of the producer, this often does lead to a productive thought that one needs to do.
Yes. It should be even more productive if you can be in the present and plan. But this is what I was saying, because this is something that is unfathomable right now. But because you are not used to it. It's a bit like, I don't drive car. And it's fascinating when people drive. They use feet, hands, this mirror, that mirror, front, and now lipsticks and SMS, text, phone call. Amazing. I would just cannot do this to me. And there's a word for that, by the way. I'm supporting what I'm saying, that I'm not making these things up as some sort of new age stuff. There's a word that's called in English, how do they translate? Effortless, spontaneously arising awareness. Yeah. So that's, okay, when you read the Buddhist sutras, there are mentions like bodhisattvas, some of the really high bodhisattvas. 10 people can ask him or her a question in one time, in one go. And then he or she will hear all, and then give each of them different answers. When you read that, you can read it as, of course, a supernatural being, special being. But it's a bit like the driving case, trained. So I guess you can do that. Because according to Yogacharya Buddhist school, We are not even using. Like, let's say if the mind is divided into what is 1 and 8 0? 1 billion?
1 million.
1 billion?
1 million or 6 zeros.
100 million.
100 million. If the mind is divided into 100 million, not even 1% of one, not even one, you are using. That the rest is just sitting there totally useless. You are not using it. And how do you use it? Instead of learning everything and going dragging here and there, come back to the present. Because by coming to the present, at last you are giving a chance to your mind to function. So yeah, I mean, this is a classic question. You know, I'm not bragging here, but 20 years ago when I was reading Thousand Years of Solitude with 20 different uncles, all names similar like Oan, is it?
Yes.
I couldn't make which uncle he's talking about. And then trying to be in the present and do this, forget it. I have to make sense of the story. I have to be in the present, not possible. But after a while, I have to say, little bit of, like putting carelessness of who are the characters, but at the same time making sense, sort of, making sense of the story. And that's what matters, isn't it, at the end, anyway. And I'm sure if I practice this more diligently, I can read 10 different kinds of 1,000 years solitude books all in one go and make sense and say everything. This is the key. Supposedly this is the key. Creativity, compassion, generosity, leadership. Yes. Oh, this is big Bodhisattva thing. How to lead. Core essence of the leadership. Come back to the present. The king, the general has to sit on the general's throne. And then you can sort of pretend that you are not seeing things or pretend, all the general, the way you lead. And we are not even touching the subject of Shunyata, which is the next, I guess. But I think this will do for now, otherwise too much information, I think. Anyway, other question? Yeah? Yeah, go ahead.
I have, you spoke about creativity, Rinpoche.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you, especially as a storyteller yourself, often when one is writing a story, say, the idea is to get lost in your idea or be taken away with your thoughts. And then you're also talking about being mindful and staying in the present. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about how we can do both together.
I think you can consciously get lost, isn't it? Yes, I think so, and that's much better. So if you are not consciously lost, I don't think you are being creative here. You are stuck. But I can understand if you have the fear of, getting stumbled and stuck with one. Yeah. Yes, I think you can consciously, you can be in the present. Anyway, the thing is this, there is no past thought and the future thought. Actually, we were talking about boundary, not to go to the past, not to go to the future. I was laughing actually. Not me, Buddhism. There is no past and there is no future. It's both here. But when we talk, we have to talk like that. And you also believe there is a past. You, as a human being. So, that's good news for you. Because the future, the past, when you are writing, it's all in the present. So if you are more conscious of this present, I think you have more sort of opportunity. And you will not be stuck actually with one angle. I'm just trying to wait. My new role this morning, someone else. So good. Year by year, the monkey's mask reveals the monkey. The Japanese haiku, really very, very, it's a testimony of this kind of practice. Sadly, all this is being hijacked by memes, actually, not really going back to the wisdom. That's a sadness. Yeah, question? Yeah? Yeah?
So to ask you.
Oh, wait.
Sorry. Rinpoche, is it possible to reflect on the past while being in the present?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I mean. Because anyway, there is no past in the future. It's always in the present. We are really talking in a very deeper way with this idea for illusion. It's really, really so amazing, isn't it? There is no past and there is no future, yet we are so caught up by past and the future. Yeah. And there is also no present. That we talk another time. I think we should first grind this one. No present, that's just to give you a name. These kind of teachings are taught in traditions such as Mahamudra or Mahasandhi. Yes. It's beautiful teachings. Just some of them are just so powerful. Like the Mahamudra. There's one called Mahamudra by the bank of Ganges. It's just so amazing. And then there's Mahasangha. When the Mahasangha was taught, even the Buddhist, a lot of Buddhists had heart attack. Because Buddhists love sensible things. So Mahasangha beyond sense and senselessness. They think it's so crazy that you are stuck with being sensible and not sensible. But that one, another time. Yeah? Yeah?
So I actually have two questions, but I'll try and put one of them first. So for example, we are here today, or I'm here today to learn something new. This is born out of an aspiration, which by its meaning is something of the future. I'm aspiring to be a little bit better at mindfulness or whatever. So here I have to plan, and I have to be in the future to be able to execute and learn and get better at whatever it is that I'm doing. So I think I'm trying to link it to what you've just said, and I'm wondering whether when we're talking about the present, are we talking about units of time, or are we talking about something
very
beyond?
Good. Very good. Really good. Actually not. But before that I want to say, thanks for reminding this. And this, are you doing the bodhicharya pranidhanaraja? One of these days, pranidhanaraja. It's a prayer of aspiration. And actually, in the Mahayana Buddhism, the real aspiration is this, being in the present. Okay, I will give you the character of Mahayana Buddhism. Character of Mahayana. The general character of Buddhism is believing in this 4C. All compound things are impermanent, all emotions are pain, everything has no inherently existing nature, Nirvana is beyond extreme. But if you ask me what is the character of Mahayana, there are three. Ground or the view is shunyata, emptiness. Path is characteristic-less. The result is beyond aspiration. Okay, having said this, I will now quote Shantideva, which I love to quote all the time. Shantideva says, for the time being, as a practitioner, we allow you to have one ignorance. And what's that? Thinking there is an enlightenment. And why should you have that? Because you don't want to suffer. That's Shantadeva's answer. So, aspiration, yeah, you can just make believe. It's important. Path is a make believe. It has to be sort of sensible make believe. Make believe is important. It's called visualization, by the way. Okay.
Thank you. I just want to ask you, struggle sometimes at work, how do you bring presence to when I'm responding to people or responding to my colleagues? Where is that presence coming? Where is it coming from? Which emotion?
You need to get used to this one. Yeah. That's why I would suggest, I really suggest you guys to put this into practice. And I don't mean, please, never limit yourself thinking, oh, I need to practice at a certain time. I need to practice this next to a beautiful vista or a window or a shrine room. I need to start my practice beginning with incense or ritual. Don't do that. Don't limit yourself thinking, I do this in the morning or in the evening. Don't think that, while you're sitting on a toilet shitting, you should not think, I should not do this. It's too holy to do this. You can't think that. You have to do it at all times. Grab the chance all the time. And then, after a while, this will become a habit. And when you are talking to your colleague or having, as I said earlier, when you are having a heated argument with somebody, you will have the presentness. And when you have that presentness, probably you will think everything is humorous. Or probably you will become even more, because it's humorous, and because there's a little bit of quitting carelessness, warrior kind of attitude, you will actually sort of be, I don't know, you actually do more things. You feel more confident. I think. Should we eat? Oh yeah, that's right. See, my mind is not working. Robert now?
Yes.
Oh good. Now that is a really challenging to be in the present. Bundeja brothers, oh, they will take you. And usually there's a long, so they will take you. It's amazing.
They said that they had a small piece in Vana.
Yes, we asked.
Yesterday they reminded me. They said, "Oh yes, we know, we did."
Okay, fine. I need to, yeah. And they're so beautiful piece. Actually, I don't know the name, but
Prashant.
It's tears on a lotus.
what?
I think it's that title, Tears on a Lotus. I don't know.
I don't know. It's so beautiful. I hope she did enjoy doing that in the ceremony. Yeah.
I think so. This
Yeah.
was a little bit as a tick the box thing.
Yeah.
I think they.
Because it's a bit like, too sophisticated, for the audience.
And they scolded me about Vidya Rinpoche.
Yeah.
They said that in the video afterwards, the music has been put like filler music.
Oh.
They said if we don't honor our own music, how do we expect others to do it? These haven't changed.
They're so good. Oh, amazing. It's so powerful. And I think they're the best.
With them and I think Rajan Sarjan Mishra, I think they're probably the
Yeah.
best.
Especially when they do the deep one. I really like it.